Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. In today's video, we're doing something a little different because we don't have any new Marvel to react to this week. I know, I'm very sad about it too. We have to make it somehow over the next, I think it's like 5 or 6 weeks till June when Loki comes out. So we've got a little bit of a break here, and I thought I'd do something fun today that I have seen a lot of other creators do on YouTube, which is do a tier list of all the MCU installments. So all the movies and all the TV, just giving them my rankings. I've created my own tier list with my own categories, and I just thought it would be fun to sit down and kind of walk through where the MCU stands today and where I think they rank, honestly. If you're new here on my channel, hello, hi, how are you? I'm Katey Unfiltered, and on my channel, I like to talk about movies, TV, makeup, whatever it is that's capturing my interest. You're always going to get my unfiltered take. And lately, we're just having a lot of fun making some Marvel-focused content. I do Grey's Anatomy commentary, and then I like to make makeup videos as well. So whatever it is that, honestly, I'm interested in, that's what I'm going to make videos about. And if that sounds like your thing, please consider subscribing. I have a lot of fun making these videos, and I hope you enjoy them. So if you're new here, welcome, and let's get right into the video. All right, I have my computer right in front of me. I'm going to pop up my tier list right here for you guys so you guys can follow along as I use the list to organize my thoughts on the MCU. So let's go over the categories that I chose first. The first tier, the highest award that I can give any of these movies, is called God tier. I don't know that I need to explain that any further, but this is for your A grade best movies in the MCU will be God tier. The second tier that I've chosen is cinema. And if you don't know why that is in here, I encourage you to go and get yourself educated on the scandal between Martin Scorsese and Marvel. He made some comments a few years ago, kind of criticizing Marvel movies and saying they weren't cinema. And I just think that's wholly uneducated and frankly a level of snobbery that I'm just not here for. So I have added a category of cinema, and these are for movies that I truly think fit the category. Next is comfort food. I have a feeling that we're gonna have a lot of movies and TV shows in this category. This category is for anything that I like to watch when I just want something that's going to make me feel good, that might make me cry, something that's going to be making me feel a little bit emotional, and honestly just something that I've watched a million times but it never gets old, and something that just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And maybe there's even some personal memories attached to it. That's where comfort food movies will go. The next one is drunk at 2 a.m. So one of my favorite things, if I have been out and about, if I've had a couple drinks, if it's late at night, I don't like to watch anything new or anything that I haven't seen before. I like to watch things that I've watched over and over again, things that I, kind of already know the entire plot. I can rehearse every line, and that's the type of thing that I like to watch drunk at 2 a.m. I want to watch something that's going to make me laugh, something that I know like the back of my hand, that's just going to be a lot of fun, and that usually Jeremy and I can sit on the couch and just have a laugh and enjoy being up late and having cocktails and watching movies. And finally, our last category is thank you next. These movies, thank you for being you, but we're moving right along. We're on to the next one. You know what I mean? All right, we've gone over our categories. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first movie that we have to rank is Ant-Man. And it's the first Ant-Man, and I really liked this. It's a great heist movie, and it's a great comedy movie. Who doesn't like Paul Rudd? To me, I think that this one is... It could be drunk at 2 a.m., but it's not usually one of my go-tos, so I think I'm gonna go with comfort food. I think I'm gonna put it under comfort food. The next one that we have to review is The Incredible Hulk, and this is The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, and frankly, I am not a fan of Edward Norton. He creeps me out. I don't know why. The dude just freaks me out, and so I also really didn't love this movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I just remember thinking that it was kind of poorly executed, and it still really wasn't the representation of the Hulk that I feel exists in the comics. And I don't know that we need more Hulk origin stories. I think we need more of what we see in Thor Ragnarok. That is the Hulk for me. So this one, unfortunately, is going to be a thank you next. Next, we have Thor 2, The Dark World. And people shit on this movie a lot. And I was the last person that would have thought that Avengers Endgame would rely heavily on the events of Thor, The Dark World. But here we are. It super did. And it was actually a super important movie. I personally really like it. I love the character Darcy in it. And, I mean, who doesn't love Chris Hemsworth? Anything that he does. Is it the best Thor movie? No, absolutely not. Is it a bad movie? No. I would say this one falls into drunk at 2 a.m. That's where it is for me. Next is Captain America, the First Avenger. I mean, I don't even have to. It's cinema. Cinema, darling. Everything about that movie is just stunning and perfect. From the acting to the action sequences to Agent Carter. Please. We get us some good Bucky in there. Come on, everything about that movie is absolutely perfect. Next, we have Captain America and the Winter Soldiers. This one is a favorite in our house. This is one that it's not necessarily like a lot of fun. It's not a funny movie, but it's one that we really like, and we really like the discussion around politics that happens in the movie. Great action scenes, great music. I love kind of the buddy cop dynamic that Captain America gets to have with Black Widow. So I think this one is going to be, I think this one actually falls into comfort food. I think that's where I would put this. Could be a drunk at 2 a.m. Yeah, that's a drunk at 2 a.m. Jeremy and I do watch this one a lot. Like, at the end of the night, just turn it on. It's so good. Next, we have Avengers Endgame. And this one, I'm really going back and forth. I think that this one could definitely be cinema. But I think it more, for me, goes between comfort food and God tier. This is one that I watch at least once a month. Probably for the last year. I love Endgame. It's something that I turn on and I can do other things while I'm watching it just because I know it like the back of my hand. I know it so well. And it's just, I don't know, it brings me comfort. It came out when I first moved to North Carolina and I didn't know anyone and I didn't have a job yet. We went and saw that movie 3 times in theaters. So I'm going back and forth between comfort food and God tier. This one is it's really hard. I think I'm gonna put it in God tier just because while it is my comfort food, it is absolutely, I think, one of the best movies in the entire MCU. And I know that that's like a hot take, but I'm here for it. Avengers Infinity War, on the other hand, I'm going to put squarely in comfort food. That is absolutely, again, a movie I can turn on and I can play around on my computer or pay bills, do whatever I need to do and still be entertained. And I love the development of the relationship between Wanda and Vision in this. There's so many things in this movie that I absolutely love. It's definitely, though, not one of the best movies in the MCU, in my opinion. It's still so good. Doctor Strange. This one's tough because I enjoy Doctor Strange, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. It's one that I've actually only watched a few times. And one that I think I need to rewatch again soon, considering that there's a new movie coming out like within the next year. I think that they had a lot of room to develop the love interest that they didn't really take advantage of. Rachel McAdams is incredible, and I think that she had too small of a part in the movie. This one, it's so stunning. The visuals are absolutely stunning. It is truly a trip to watch this movie. I think this one is a cinema. Squarely for the visuals and how absolutely beautiful it is to watch. Avengers, the original Avengers 1, this one is absolutely God tier. Like, this is the one that really changed the game for the MCU, in my opinion. This is the one that got everyone to say, oh, Marvel is doing something different and something unique. And like, despite whatever you think about Joss Whedon, there's no argument that that movie is near perfection. All right, Captain Marvel. This one is gonna make a lot of people mad at me, I think, but yeah, I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. And the reason that I'm not here for it is because in order to make her a strong character, the writers chose to make her kind of an asshole. And I think that you can be a strong, independent woman without being a jerk, without injuring innocent people. You know, I have a lot of problems with that scene where she like hurts that guy's hand and then steals his motorcycle. I have a lot of problems with that because I don't think that's what being a strong, like, independent woman in charge should be about. And frankly, that's not what a hero is. And so beyond that one scene, I just really felt like the movie was not as exciting as it could have been. Having Samuel L. Jackson and Phil Coulson in the movie, or Nick Fury and Phil Coulson in the movie, was a great decision, in my opinion. I loved the Skrulls, but Captain Marvel, on the whole, I really felt like this was a miss. And now that we have WandaVision, now that we have these amazing origin stories for female superheroes within the MCU, I think that Marvel has proven that you can show a female hero as strong and powerful and flawed and human and all the things that we love about these heroes without going to this extent that just doesn't feel like genuine. I think that's the problem, is that Captain Marvel takes it to this point that doesn't feel realistic. She doesn't feel like a woman that I know. I don't relate to her at all. Maybe I'm not supposed to, you know? She grew up on another planet. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to relate to her. And maybe that's the problem, but she just doesn't feel like anybody that I know or even anybody that I would aspire to be like. Whereas if you look at Wanda, a very flawed, vulnerable, at times not making all the best decisions, but still a hero and still someone that stands up for truth and righteousness. And through all of her flaws is still someone that you relate to on some level. And I think that's what you need in these heroes. And I think that Captain Marvel just really misses the mark. So this one's going to be a no from me. Next is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I know a lot of people don't like this movie as much, but Jeremy and I love this movie. This is absolutely a drunk at 2 a.m. movie for us. It is so funny. The music is so great. Baby Groot, I mean, that scene with him like trying to put the little medallion on his head is absolutely such a perfect comedic moment. I love this movie. We turn this one on all the time. It's just such a blast. I think we even like it better than the original Guardians of the Galaxy. Don't hate me. All right, next we have Black Panther. No question. Cinema, darling. Cinema. This was a moment. This was an absolute moment, not just for the MCU, but a cultural moment. It was something that when you went and you saw it in the theater, you had this palpable energy. And you got a similar energy when watching like Avengers Endgame, where you just feel the theater buzzing. Everyone watching it is just alive and electric. There's something really, really unique about it. And this was truly a moment that I think we'll all remember, is sitting in the theater and seeing Black Panther for the first time and how beautiful it is. And honestly, how Shakespearean the story was. It's just absolutely cinema. Take that, Martin. All right, next we have Iron Man 3. And I have really come a long way on this movie. I actually saw it in theaters 3 times. 2 of which were by myself. I was living in Orlando and they had just redone the theater. They had these huge, massive stadium theaters and I had a day off. It was so hot outside and I just went and watched it twice back to back by myself. I loved it at the time. I loved the emotional journey that Tony goes on and kind of the exploration of his mental health and what Iron Man was really like as a human being, because he's not someone that has all these superpowers. And frankly, it's an exploration of the PTSD that someone that was in that position might have. So I really liked it from that perspective. But now I just don't find myself reaching for it as often. You know what I mean? Like I'm not taking it off the shelf. And I have gone back and rewatched it. And I think that the real problem with this movie is the villains. We have a villain problem with Iron Man 3, no question. The Mandarin is a huge, important villain in the comics and is such an interesting character that they could have explored. And the way that they kind of shoehorned it in and said, oh, it's the Mandarin, like this is going to be so insane and crazy. And then it's actually, they make him into some like British, like kind of layabout guy. And I wasn't here for that. And I feel like they really ruined a character and a storyline that could have been really powerful. So this one is unfortunately a thank you next for me. Next we have Thor Ragnarok. Yes, I love this movie. Jeremy and I love this movie. We watch this one probably, again, like once a month. This is one of our drunk at 2 a.m. movies. It's so funny. It's so visually stunning. Chris Hemsworth is perfect. Cate Blanchett is a perfect Hela, just a perfect villain. And then we get the buddy cop relationship with Thor and Loki. There's just something about Thor Ragnarok that I think a lot of people just haven't come to appreciate it. It's a really polarizing movie, but Thor Ragnarok is all the things that I like about Thor, which is kind of this bombastic, comedic, over the top, godlike, visually beautiful universe that's just way far removed from the rest of the MCU, but at the same time still fits in perfectly. And the fact that they were able to put the Hulk in and make it make sense and make it honestly probably the best part of the entire movie is just chef's kiss perfection. All right, we have our first Disney Plus show to review. We have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you haven't yet, shameless plug, go watch my reaction videos to that. I had a lot of fun making those. So if you haven't watched those yet, click over there when you're done with this video. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I really enjoyed. I really liked it. There were some fun surprises and some fun exploration of some really powerful topics. This was a great buddy cop action TV show. It's definitely not a drunk at 2 a.m. Like, it doesn't fit into that. I don't think it's comfort food. I think that this one is cinema. And I realize that it's not a movie, but hear me out. That's not really what this category means anyways. Just because of the powerful themes that are explored and how grand it felt, the introduction of Sam as Captain America, that's what makes it in this cinema tier for me. And it's not God tier because I don't truly think that it's like the best of the best, but I think that it does fit squarely in that category. Plus, it's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like, you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus in anything, and it instantly elevates everything. Iron Man 2. Let's talk about Iron Man 2. I am conflicted. I am conflicted about Iron Man 2 because I love the introduction of Black Widow and kind of the surprise introduction of Black Widow. I like that they chose Don Cheadle to be War Machine. I think he's Iron Patriot in that movie, but I like that they chose Don Cheadle to take over that role. I'm not a fan of the other actor personally, so very excited that Don Cheadle was in this. Pepper's bangs are like totally on fleek, but the plot itself is a little all over the place. One thing that I do really like is kind of the allusion to Howard Stark being this Walt Disney type character presenting at a World's Fair. I really like that. There's some really cool Disney, like historic Disney heritage callbacks that I actually appreciate. And it's something that if you aren't into that sort of thing, if you're not into Disney history or into Disney in general, you probably wouldn't pick it up. But I really like that. And so do I reach for this often? Is this comfort food? No. And it's not one that I might watch it drunk at 2 a.m. But I like this one, but I'm gonna have to thank you next this one. It's just not one that I reach for. Guardians of the Galaxy, the original. I love this one. This one is absolutely comfort food for me. I love this movie. It's so emotional. It hits all the right notes. It's comedic. It's one that I know like the back of my hand. I love this family of characters. I love this storyline. And Guardians of the Galaxy was one of my dad's favorites. So one that I grew up with and absolutely a comfort food movie for me. It just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. All right, next we have the original Thor. I love this movie. I love this movie. I love how Shakespearean it is. Kenneth Branagh directing it was such a bold and interesting choice that I'm absolutely obsessed with. I love how they treated Natalie Portman, and I love the introduction of Darcy in this. I just love everything about it. Loki is perfect. Just everything about Thor is absolutely stunning. This is really a movie that really pulled me into the MCU. I was already into it. I watched all the movies, from the very beginning in theaters, but this movie was special. And this movie was very different than anything that they'd done historically. And if you think about superhero movies, this was a big transformational moment. Up till that point, we'd had Iron Man, we'd had a ton of Spider-Man movies. I believe we'd had Captain America already. And this one was just, in my opinion, so different and so fantastical and just so beautiful. So this one is definitely, I'm going back and forth between God tier and comfort food. And I think this one is a God tier movie. It's perfect. I love this movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. I struggle with this one because I think that it's perfectly acceptable as a movie, but it does have some villain problems. Mainly that I don't care about the villains. And really all that I'm here for is Paul Rudd. And I love the introduction of the Wasp. I thought that was really exciting. I'd love to see her have bigger roles in the MCU in the future. Very excited to see her pop up in Endgame. But it really, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I couldn't tell you the first thing beyond that scene where he is trying to convince the FBI that he is still in his house because he has trained one of the ants to mimic his movements. That is the number one scene in that movie that I remember. So I think this one, it's not one that I reach for often, but it is really funny and it's Paul Rudd. So I'm going to put this at drunk at 2 a.m. Avengers, The Age of Ultron. Let's talk about Age of Ultron because I have watched this movie 3 times in the last couple of months. And I actually saw this one before it was released. I was working for Disney at the time and I got to go to an early screening of it where none of the graphics were done and the directors were sitting, Joss Whedon was literally sitting 3 rows behind me, because when they do these screenings, they put you in a small theater on the studio lot and then they sit all the producers and the directors behind the audience and they watch you watch the movie, which is kind of cool, and then ask you questions about it afterwards. But when you see it in that kind of environment, none of the computer graphics are done, a lot of the voiceover work isn't done, but there's enough done and there's enough story done that it's the framework of a movie. So I got to see this one probably 8 months prior to it coming out, I think is when I saw it. And I really loved that experience. It was such a cool memory. And seeing Joss Whedon in person was it was kind of cool. The dude is pretty problematic, but at the time it was a really cool moment to just walk in and be he's right there. So I've had a soft spot for this movie already because of that experience. Once I saw it in theaters, I was this just is really chaotic and kind of all over the place, and I didn't know how to feel about it. After watching WandaVision, I went back and I rewatched Age of Ultron. This movie is good, and it's not just good, it is good. That movie is so well done. It is such a sweeping cinematic story. I love Ultron as a villain. It took a few viewings to really get Ultron, but I love what they do with him having this god complex that he gets from Tony and how that plays out throughout the movie and him thinking of himself as a god. And I love the introduction of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, even though I know that Quicksilver was killed off way too soon. I think that they tried to do a lot with this movie. And if you're not keeping up, if it moves fast and you're gonna miss stuff. Also, a key part of the movie is Ultron's AI killing the Jarvis AI. And upon first viewing, that is a very weird scene because it's just two artificial intelligences arguing with each other, and then one murders the other. And it's kind of a hard concept to wrap your head around if you're not paying attention or if you're not like in it or understanding what's happening. But upon further viewings, it makes a lot more sense. And the movie's good. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's a good, solid movie. And a lot of people had problems with the Black Widow and Hulk storyline. I actually am not among those people. I thought that that was an incredibly beautiful, touching, and heartbreaking story of two people who see themselves as monsters and are not monsters. In fact, they're heroes and they're people that have saved a lot of people and have saved the world multiple times, but because of things that have happened to them, see themselves as monsters. And they find comfort in each other and loving each other through that. And I thought that it was such a beautiful way to tell that story. And so many people online got so mad about it at the time. And I'm going to get off my soapbox. I loved that scene. I loved that storyline. I love Age of Ultron. To me, this is absolutely, I'm going back and forth. It could be comfort food. I think I'm going to put it's either cinema or comfort food. And I want to say this is comfort food. This is comfort food for me. Iron Man, the original Iron Man, the one that started it all. I love this movie. This one is God tier. This is a God tier movie because we wouldn't have the MCU without this movie. Robert Downey Jr. is absolutely a perfect Iron Man. I'm still heartbroken that his journey in the MCU is over, but this movie was perfect. And even if you weren't a fan of the comics or didn't know anything about Iron Man, everyone loved this movie. It's a good action movie. It's funny. It's heartbreaking. It makes this character of Tony Stark vulnerable, yet strong, yet cunning. It's the perfect representation of that character. And I mean, again, Pepper Potts, your bangs on fleek. I've wanted that hair for forever. I don't think I can pull it off, but Gwyneth Paltrow and her hair in this movie is like stunning. Ooh, okay. So we have Civil War, Captain America Civil War. I love this for sheer entertainment quality. Like, we're talking explosions, heroes fighting heroes. We're talking like random introduction of characters like Spider-Man. I love everything about Civil War. It really is a representation of all the things that I love about Marvel, which is like superheroes and fights and drama. And it's just all the things. And I don't even see it so much as a Captain America movie, so much as I see it as like a fourth Avengers or as a fifth Avengers movie, because that's basically what it feels like to me. But I love that Bucky is in this, and I love the storyline that they take with Bucky and with Zemo. You know that I'm a big Zemo fan, so really excited that we got Zemo in this, even though we didn't get the true Zemo until the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought that this movie was perfect. It had a lot going on, and if you're not paying attention, you kind of miss the point. And I, upon first viewing, was a Team Iron Man girl 100%. I thought that it was kind of shitty that Steve knew that Bucky killed Tony's father and never said anything and was just going to keep that to himself. I kind of get it, but I think it kind of makes Steve kind of a jerk. And that scene at the very end where Steve was like, he's my friend, and Tony's like, I thought I was your friend. And they just keep fighting. It's like, oh, so heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. Oh, so heartbreaking. So I was totally like a Team Iron Man, like Bucky killed his parents, like nothing else matters. That was my perspective. Now, I think I'm a Team Cap. I think I'm a Team Cap now. I get it. He was trying to protect his friend who was brainwashed and didn't know what he was doing. I think he could have been more honest with Tony. Like, I think he probably should have been. But at the same time, I am also for people like keeping their liberties and keeping their choices and not signing over all of their power to the government. So I am a Team Captain America gal now, for what it's worth. And this movie, let's see, where would I put this? I think I'm gonna put this in comfort food. Yep. This one is a comfort food movie for sure. This is one that I'll like put on when I just like, again, want to be entertained and I just want to watch heroes fighting heroes and I want to see Wanda and Vision like talk about paprika a lot. Like, this is my movie. WandaVision. No question. This is God tier shit. You know how I feel about WandaVision. If you don't, click above. I've done a lot of videos on WandaVision. I think I'm ready to say that WandaVision is my favorite thing in the MCU, period. It's gonna be tough between that and Endgame. I think Endgame is also like top 1 and 2. They're fighting for that same spot. WandaVision was such a special and powerful TV show for me. It was such a powerful story for me, especially everything that I was going through in my life with grieving the death of my father. Watching Wanda go through her grief in this story was super powerful for me. And I just love all the mystery and the intrigue and the action. It's everything that I love about Marvel, which is just powerful storytelling through heroes and explosions and people in crazy costumes. Like, I'm here for all of it. And WandaVision, there isn't a single moment that isn't absolutely perfect for me. God tier. These two are going to be hard. I am a big Spider-Man fan, and I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I think it's my favorite Spider-Man, but the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies do hold a very special place in my heart. I remember listening to the soundtracks over and over again in the car with my dad when I was like 14 years old, I think I was. And so those hold a very special place in my heart. Doc Ock is, in my opinion, a god tier villain, at least within the like movie universe. However, those Spider-Man movies are not MCU. So we're going to focus on Tom Holland movies. And the first one is Far From Home. I really liked Far From Home. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was stunning as I almost said Mephisto. I thought Jake Gyllenhaal was stunning as Mysterio. And the direction that they decided to take that character, I thought was really clever. It was a way to take the concept from the comics of him essentially being this like very scientifically talented magician to kind of being this like sleight of hand artist, but using technology, and the tie-in of Iron Man and, you know, now that he is gone, how his legacy lives on, but like what happens in the MCU after Endgame. A lot of the tone setting was really defined by this movie. I remember going into the movies and just being like, well, what's this going to be like? And I was pleasantly surprised. I really, really liked it. And I'm really excited for the next Spider-Man movie to come out and to see how they continue to play Spider-Man throughout the MCU. I know that Spider-Man is a very popular character. I'm also excited that he's just not the center of the MCU right now. I'm ready for more movies about other characters. We don't need 20 million Spider-Man movies. Who am I kidding? Yes, we do. Just make them. Go make them. I will see them. Just ignore me. This one is, I would say this is I want to say Drunk at 2 a.m. But yeah, I think this is a Drunk at 2 a.m. movie. It's got a lot of comedy. It's also a John Hughes-esque high schooler romance movie. And it's one that I don't reach for often, but when I do, I really enjoy it. It's just pleasant. And finally is Spider-Man Homecoming. So Spider-Man Homecoming, I really liked. I really like the kind of father-son relationship that's represented between Iron Man and Spider-Man. And I like that Happy Hogan has a lot more to do in both Spider-Man movies. Honestly, Happy Hogan is a favorite character of mine. So this one, I would say, but it's not the best and it's not the worst. It's kind of in like Ant-Man territory where I'm not going to reach for it that often, but when I do reach for it, it's just a lot of fun. I would say that this one, again, is probably a Drunk at 2 a.m. movie. I think that's when I would reach for it. All right, guys. So we have finished our tier list. And what do we think? I'm like looking at it now and there's a couple decisions that I'm actually kind of doubting. I'm like, the original Ant-Man, did I put that in the right spot? I don't know. I think I could have done with another category, which was just like it was good, like a shrug category. I think that probably would have been a good addition now that I've gone through the entire thing. But what do you guys think? I had so much fun putting this together. This was a really fun, just quick little video that actually didn't end up being quick at all, but it was a great way to just sit down with you guys and talk about Marvel movies, which is one of my favorite things ever to talk about. I'd love to see your tier lists if you end up making your own. So if you do, feel free to share them with me. You can link them down below. You can send them to me on Instagram. I'd love to connect with you guys and just see what you guys thought, and let me know down in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What did you think of how I ranked these movies? Let me know down in the comments. And with that, guys, that's today's video. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you liked this video, please don't forget to leave it a like down below. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I am back here on my channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern with a brand new video. I love hanging out with you guys. I love meeting you, so please feel free to say hello down in the comments and come follow me on other social medias. I don't plug it often, but I'm out there. I'm on social media. You'll find some handles down there in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for being here. It means so much to me. I have so much fun making these videos. I hope you enjoy watching them as much as I enjoy making them. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.